Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to J is for Justice. My name is Jay, and I am your host. I want to thank all the moderators first, right off the bat, for being here today. Happy Friday to you. Thank you for all that you do. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday. I can't believe it's Friday. I can't believe it's May 2nd. It's crazy. You guys got any good plans for the weekend? I've got a little visitor coming this weekend, so I don't know how much you'll see of me. So I will be MIA probably till Sunday night. Yay. Hey, Snazzy. Gardening. Hoping to work outside. Yeah, the weather's breaking everywhere, isn't it? Miss Kells. Hey, Crimes. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Gold Dust. You're going to enjoy quiet. Hubby and kids left for camp. Nice. Enjoy your quiet weekend. Hey, Mullins girl. Misty, I hope you're doing well. Well, today I've got a loaded show for you. I think we should get right into it, don't you? Hello, Scott H. Scott H says, am I coming to visit? God almighty.
Creep town, dude.
Of course, Scott. You're always welcome. Hey, Agent. Hey, Evelyn. Spring cleanup. It's that time of year. All right, guys, let's get into today's stream. Hey, Butter. So this flipped me right out, okay? I know a lot of people are saying they don't believe it. A lot of them are the pro-burgers, that they don't want to believe anything that this motherfucker does. But I happen to believe Howard Blum. I don't think he's going to lie. I don't think he's going to make things up. And I don't think he's going to report shit that he doesn't think to be at least close to the truth. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to walk through Howard's latest writing, and that's where this comes from, right? He's got sources. This guy's talked to everybody. So we're going to walk through that, and then I have a little podcast we're going to listen to about Katherine Ramsland herself. If you're not familiar with her, I'm sure you guys all are, but Katherine Ramsland has written many books. She's also a professor at DeSales University, where Bryan Kohberger got his degree in criminal justice. She was one of his teachers. Well, we're finding out now that they didn't stop talking after he left college. What up, B-Tim? So these two had a relationship after he graduated. Oh, thank you, Angie. I'll grab it after this stream. So they kept talking, and there was a theory that maybe the prosecution may be using as to Kohberger's motive. Wasn't the professor a person that interviewed a famous serial killer? Yes. So beat him. She went above and beyond. Okay. She went above and beyond. She actually met with Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, and split the proceeds of her book with him. So I've I think I did another live on her before, just when we found out that she was Kohberger's teacher. Well, I've always kind of had it in the back of my mind that this woman kind of lives vicariously through these serial killers. She's like obsessed. I found her Pinterest last night. Fucking disturbing. Okay. So I think there are people that can be so like, maybe they would never do the act, but they're so curious what it would feel like. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it possible she never just went to that level, but instead took those curiosities and did something different with it? Does that make sense? I guess, Butter, I don't know how she worked that out with him, but she was able to visit with him, talk with him, and then split the proceeds of the book. So in Kohberger's eyes, they're saying here that like he wanted to impress her, show her his teachings. Hey, Cole, I'm glad you got your new glasses. Or planted the seed. I don't know what they were emailing about, but they emailed in the days before and in the days after the murders. We don't know the contents of these emails, obviously, because the state has those communications. Hey, Frankie, you haven't seen me since the CK days. Wow, that's been like 7 years, girl. Welcome in, Frankie. All right, so let's listen to this. It's 9 minutes long. I'll be stopping and kind of throwing deets in as we go. And then when we listen to this podcast, you guys are going to be like, what the freak? This is weird. This last night when I was making this video, I actually felt for 1 second like I was in an alternate universe. I've never heard of such weirdness. Okay, here we go. Again, this is Howard Blum. This is the last of his Eyes of a Killer, Bryan Kohberger. Hey, Tuesday, here we go. I don't know, Agent. Let me know if I need to turn it up. Want to kill someone? Hate will get the job done every time. But then again, the heart has many resources. And in a pinch, love is all you need. Do you want me to open it, Ange? All along, this has been the big question. Why? Why would someone furtively enter an off-campus home just before dawn and armed with a hunting knife savagely murder 4 University of Idaho students? Since the grim events of November 13th, 2022, it has been a perplexity that has fueled considerable speculation. And now, a despairingly long 2.5 years later, with the trial of Bryan Kohberger, the 30-year-old criminal justice graduate student charged with the killings, poised to start in August, a potential motive is at last coming into focus. Try, for example, wrapping your head around the disturbing fact that the 2 survivors were aware a black mask intruder had entered their house, had heard the accompanied tumult, yet waited 8 hours before calling 911, rising at about 7:30 and then frittering away the morning on social media, taking photos and calling parents and friends. It is an explanation, a hypothesis really, that becomes credible only when examined through a different manner of cognition, the inscrutable workings of Bryan Kohberger's mind. You saw the doggy? At its root, it is a love story of a sort. Once upon a time, the yarn the state is hoping to spin begins. Bryan Kohberger was incomplete. Oh, he had laboriously strived to reinvent his life by the time he had enrolled in the master's program in criminal justice at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. He kicked his heroin addiction, lost more than 100 pounds, turned his body into a fortress through exercise, a vegan diet, and boxing, and made his way out of a dismal community college. And yet, something was still missing. Those eyes, though. He's got this intense stare, and I agree with this. I feel like he tried and kept failing. He still never felt whole, right? He still never felt normal, if you will. Then he found his calling. Forensic psychology. The new science of exploring the dark caverns lurking in the recesses of criminal minds. And as luck would have it, he'd also found an unlikely friend and champion to guide him. Katherine Ramsland. A recognized authority in the psychological study of serial killers, a prolific author of, at recent count, 59 books, and a familiar face on the True Crime Network and cable shows, where she reliably brings a measure of academic gravitas to the proceedings. The professor had done it all. And, as Newsweek first revealed at the time of Kohberger's arrest, Ramsland was also his teacher. For a graduate class, she taught at DeSales. He'd read her seminal works, Inside the Minds of Serial Killers, Why They Kill, and Confession of a Serial Killer, The Untold Story of Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. Yet what the prosecution discovered, which has not been previously reported, is that Kohberger's relationship and tutelage with Ramsland did not end when he traveled across the country to enroll in the PhD criminal justice program at Washington State University. He remained her acolyte. Kohberger was allegedly emailing his professor in the days before the murders occurred.
It's weird.
And in the days immediately after. What was discussed remains, for now at least, another mystery. Neither the state nor Ramsland has responded to requests for comment. Nevertheless, Airmail has learned that just hours after Kohberger's arrest, Ramsland allegedly telephoned his mother to offer her wisdom and guidance to help her former student and his family through the looming ordeal. Her offer to act as the cool-headed broker for the Kohbergers was quickly accepted. The Kohbergers supposedly refused to meet with their son's court-appointed Pennsylvania attorney until Ramsland signed off.
Okay, wait.
Over the 2 years,
We got to stop there.
so the Kohberger family was hesitant to speak to the court-appointed attorney. Remember this guy?
Where is he?
Remember
Refused
this
to meet
man?
with their-
Remember he did an interview? So they refused to speak to him until Katherine Ramsland approved it. This is the court-appointed attorney in Pennsylvania when he was initially arrested. Why is Ramsland calling the shots, you ask? That is the million-dollar question, Robat. It is. It's so unethical, Snazzy. But isn't that her MO? I'm not a huge fan of hers, as you can tell. I think she's a weirdo. I think she's a straight weirdo. But I want to know what these emails say. I want to know why she's calling the shots with the family. It's weird, right? She planted the seed, in my opinion, says Sin. It is Creep Town biscuits. Pamela, I agree. Like, what is her deal? Their son's court-appointed Pennsylvania attorney until Ramsland signed off. Over the 2 years that followed, the professor allegedly stayed in touch with the family, as well as Kohberger himself, offering sources share practical advice to help navigate the often overwhelming atrocities of a stern criminal justice apparatus. She's even reportedly conferred with one of Kohberger's sisters, who is said to be writing an insider's account of their wrenching family drama. In fact, hey, look at his dad. He's got brand new New Balance on. Look, those babies are brand spanking new. See Michael Kohberger's feet? Brand new New Balance for court. You think it's all about money? Do you guys, Bex? Yes, this is one of the newest ones that just came out a couple days ago. The show where she sits in a chair scares me. Of their wrenching family drama. In fact, the beleaguered family has asked her to consider accompanying them to the Boise bed and breakfast that Ann Taylor, the head of their son's defense team, has reserved for them during the course of the trial. Did you hear that? From these facts. Wait, did you hear that? Ramsland has been invited to stay in the Kohbergers' Airbnb during the trial. Katherine Kohberger. That's what I'm going to call her. Fucking Katherine Kohberger.
What?
Terry, in my opinion, I think it's for exclusive rights to interviewing and writing a book on him. It could be, but is there something deeper than that? Because why did she keep in contact with him for over 2.5 years? Listen again. To the Boise bed and breakfast, that said to be writing an insider's account. So his sister right there is writing a book. Okay. And now Katherine Ramsland is going to stay with the family. That would be nuts if she was Papa Rogers. These folks remind me of the movie People Under the Stairs. It's scary stuff. Criminal justice apparatus. She's even reportedly conferred with one of Kohberger's sisters, who is said to be writing an insider's account of their wrenching family drama. Whoa. In fact, the beleaguered family has asked her to consider accompanying them to the Boise bed and breakfast that Ann Taylor, the head of their son's defense team, has reserved for them during the course of the trial. Hey, Texas Ranger. From these facts, the prosecution has embroidered a still speculative account of what allegedly led Bryan Kohberger, armed with his 7-inch steel-bladed knife, into the house on King Road. Kohberger wanted to prove that the pupil was ready to become the teacher. He was determined to demonstrate to the professor, who, according to this theory, was the idolized object of his respect and affection, that he'd learned all her lessons well. And while her journey into hell had been judicious, reaching out in letters and interviews to convicted killers, he would charge full speed into the belly of the beast. No passive arm's length academic posturing for this researcher, but even more, he'd kill and get away with it. He'd prove how smart he was. He would show how much he'd learned. And the hypothesis continued. With the raging, crackling anger that was unleashed, Kohberger would demonstrate to the object of his devotion the sacrifices he was prepared to make to win her comradeship. Like John Hinckley, who tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan to win the heart of actress Jodie Foster, a woman he'd never met. Kohberger was driven by his own twisted erotomania. Kohberger, too, would let his demons run free. In the end, he'd triumph. His far vision would take him someplace where his mentor had never dared to journey. And in the proud aftermath, after all his struggles, he'd at last be complete. What does Ramsland make of it? She's apparently not talking. She's never responded to my emails. Nevertheless, she might find something in the theory. After all, in another episode in her remarkably accomplished life, She wrote her doctoral dissertation on Kierkegaard. Listen to this. It was that Danish philosopher who conceded that, quote, my writing should be considered a monument, end quote. So she's very full of herself. He's talking about the doctorate, whatever paper she wrote in school was about a philosopher who said, my writings should be a monument. So I think this bish is going to push the limits. Yes, totally full of herself. She's going to push the limits to get whatever she can for her content, right? Yeah, I remember the old doctor. Yes, that's what she reminds me of, kind of. Drunk Turkey heard back from Ramsland. Did they interview her? Robat, did they interview her? To Regine Olsen, a woman with whom he had a brief, youthful relationship. Is it too far a stretch to consider that a killer's logic had made a similar heartfelt journey? Creepy, right? Well, I think that the state has already has all the emails and stuff. They're just sealed. He did. I'm not sure he is alive later tonight. She looks like that actress that was in the show about the funeral home. I can't remember the name of the show. Oh, yeah. Freaking weird, right, Sarah? I can't wait to hear. So I don't know if she's going to be a witness for the prosecution or for the defense. You texted it to me earlier. This is your first time hearing about this author. Oh. Swamp Rose interview? I don't know. I didn't know she had been talking about this case. Oof, in the pines. Well, you're going to get a little more scared. Okay, so now we're going to go to Katherine actually was interviewed by this podcast here. I think it's a writerly lifestyle podcast, but look at the date. November 7th, 2022. This was just days before the Moscow murders. Lynette, I am convinced his thumbs up was for her. I wonder if he sent her that selfie. She was at CrimeCon. Ethan's mom's seen her. I can't remember who asked her to comment on BK, but she said she couldn't due to some law for teachers and students. Oh. Ugh. I agree, Agent. It's gross. BTK is a total loser. Thank you, Nightmare. She was his professor, yes, in his graduate class of forensic psychology. Okay, so let's take a listen. This is the introduction. Listen to this. Have you ever read a particularly compelling newspaper article or listened to a true crime podcast or even watched a news report and thought, dang, now that would make a cool book? How can you turn those sparks of inspiration into full-fledged ideas? Katherine Ramsland is here to help. Today, I'm talking to Katherine Ramsland, who has played chess with serial killers, dug up the dead, worked with profilers, and camped out in haunted crime scenes. As a professor of forensic psychology and an investigative consultant, like her main character, Annie Hunter, she's always vigilant for unique angles and intriguing characters. She spent 5 years working with BTK serial killer Dennis Rader to write his autobiography, Confession of a Serial Killer, and has been featured as an expert in over 200 true crime documentaries. The author of 69 books, she's become the go-to expert for the most extreme, deviant, and bizarre forms of criminal behavior, which offers great background for her Nutcracker investigation series. I Scream Man is the first novel in the series. Katherine is the perfect person to show us how to take that spark of an idea we get from the world around us and turn it into a unique story. Let's take a listen-see to this. How to turn true stories into fiction.
It's about entertainment. And so
Hold on.
it's about entertainment. And so reality isn't always entertaining, and there is a way to use it, like it's almost like you put a skin over it, right? You want the base of it, you want the body of it to feel real, to feel authentic, but at the same time, you got to dress it up.
Have you ever read a particularly compelling newspaper article, or listened to a true crime podcast, or even watched a news report out for the most
fiction writing, your fiction
69 books.
Writers who improve their writing
Okay,
skills
here we go.
with just about 5 minutes.
She's creepy.
Let's go right to the interview.
Katherine, I am so impressed by your background. I think you're at, is it 69 books at this point? How do you find time to do all that?
Yeah, 69 books. I have a full-time job as an assistant provost at a university and professor, and I'm writing 2 books at once right now.
Wow.
But I just do it. I mean, I don't think about, when I have the time, I just move right in and keep working. So it adds up, and I've been writing for a lot of years.
That's awesome. So I want to talk about your fiction process more in depth. But before we do, I'm really interested in, and I know a little bit of your background, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you got started writing, because you had kind of a different route to fiction writing than most people.
This is kind of scary.
Fiction writing started when I was a teenager. I wrote.
Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. Buckle up. This is where this is where it gets a little creepy, okay? I got a little bit of goosebumps going on.
1,000-page novel by
Wait, listen.
And I've been writing 2 books at once right now.
Listen.
Wow.
But I just do it. I mean, I don't think about, when I have the time, I just move right in and keep working. So it adds up, and I've been writing for a lot of years.
That's awesome. So I want to talk about your fiction process more in depth.
Hey, John,
before we do, I'm really interested in, and I know a little bit of your background, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you got started writing, because you had kind of a different route to fiction writing than most people.
The fiction writing started when I was a teenager. I wrote 1,000-page novel by hand.
Wow.
And then I ritually burned it. So it had, ghosts and vampires and all kinds of stuff that teenage girls were all into. So that started it. I loved it. But then my very first book was based on my dissertation.
Can we break that down? Can we please break that down? This woman is, I think, in her 60s. So she's in her 60s, and she's saying when she was a teen, she wrote her first 1,000-page novel by hand, and the only 2 people that read it were her sister and I think her best friend, and they burned it because it was about all this stuff. But she's saying that the teenage girls were into vampires and such. Can you tell me a time when that was something the teens were into back in the day? Because I know, like, with, what was that? The, whatever that series is that came out. You know what I'm saying? But the vampires. But, like, back in her day, I don't think vampires and all that was popular. Yeah, Twilight. That's what it's called. Yeah, Twilight. That's some weird shit. She's 72? Yeah, there ain't no way in hell. You think the girls were into that shit back then?
A little bit about how you got started writing, because you had kind of a different route to fiction writing than most people.
The fiction writing started when I was a teenager. I wrote 1,000-page novel by hand.
Wow.
And my sister and my best friend were the ones who were reading it, and we swore never to reveal the contents to anybody, and then I ritually burned it. And so it had.
She burnt her own book. No, this is before Lost Boys and all that. She's 72 years old. Not Nosferatu or whatever. I'm 58 and I was never into that shit. All she had was Lizzie Borden as an inspiration. Yeah, it's kind of wild, right? Let's keep listening.
You know, ghosts and vampires and all kinds of stuff that teenage girls were all into. So that started it. I loved it. But then my very first book was based on my dissertation. And I had a PhD in philosophy. And I turned the dissertation into a book. And I hated the process so much that I thought I would never want to write another book. So obviously something happened after that one. And it was, I wrote Anne Rice's biography.
Oh, wow.
And I loved the process so much, I never wanted to do anything else.
Oh, that's amazing.
What a difference. It was the commercial versus academic writing made a big difference.
And then you became a professor at Rutgers, if I'm not mistaken, for philosophy, right? And then... Then you went back to school for something a little bit different. Why? What made you go back to school, and what was that you went back for?
Well, I always say, why not? If the opportunity is there. I now have 5 graduate degrees as a result of saying, why not? And I love school. I'd probably still go back for another one if I had an opportunity. Before I went to Rutgers, I got a master's in clinical psychology. Then I went and got my PhD in philosophy, where I was teaching at Rutgers.
Smarty pants.
And then quit after 15 years and went and got a master's in forensic psychology just because it sounded interesting and I wanted to do something else. And I was actually writing for the Court TV website at that point, the crime library. And so I thought, whoa, that would be interesting.
Thanks,
and
Cassie.
It changed my life. I had no idea what I was getting into when I got into that degree program, but it completely changed my life. And now I'm a professor of forensic psychology, again, unlooked for, and an expert in serial killers. Not that I planned on that, but it came about. So.
That's amazing. So can you talk a little bit about what forensic psychology is?
Forensic psychology is any area where psychological issues or concerns overlap with investigation and the legal system. So competency evaluations, mental state at the time of the offense is the typical thing, but you might also consult on investigations. I do suicidology. So I consult with coroners on undetermined deaths in terms of where there are psychological components that might help resolve an undetermined death. That's another thing it can do. You could train people to be witnesses in court. You could coach them. There's a lot of different ways. Be a prison psychologist. There's a lot of different. Things, but I ended up doing research and becoming this specialist in extreme offenders, serial killers and mass murderers, and I got one book thing after another in those areas, and it was before the huge spike in interest in all this stuff. So it was really back, I started certainly over 25 years ago, because I had worked I was the research assistant for John Douglas, who wrote the Mindhunter books, and that was kind of my entree into the field. But at the same time, I was doing my own books, like I went undercover in the vampire subculture for 2 years, which produced that book, also where I went around the country with ghost hunters. But at the same time, I was doing my own books, like I went undercover in the vampire subculture for 2 years.
She went undercover in the vampire subculture for 2 years? What does that even mean?
which
wow,
which produced that book, also a book where I went around the country with ghost hunters, and that produced my first two novels. So I'm just always looking for ways to make the most of my opportunities. So I did these academic, more serious books, but then I also did, fun, adventurous, unusual books too.
That's so cool. So I'm curious about your thoughts on the kind of fictionalized shows about serial killers. I mean,
I agree, JR.
The new one about Jeffrey Dahmer on Netflix. What is it about us as a culture or a society that makes us so obsessed with serial killers?
That is really actually more of a sociological question than psychological, because it is cultural. It's, when I first got into this, true crime writing was considered the niche area. Like, you don't want to do that if you want to sell books, because it was a very small audience and it has grown. I think the start of it really can be pegged to the O.J. Simpson trial being on TV, and that drew so many viewers, and that was back in the 1990s, but it drew so many viewers, which really set up the success of CSI. And CSI, of course, spun off multiple other kinds of programs. Many, many other investigative types of shows are on. And then true crime came back into the picture, where people really wanted the real cases, not the ripped from the headlines and this is based on this. They wanted to really penetrate, and in particular, serial killers, because these were, society's monsters. How did they get this way? And that kind of has led us to this weird thing, and I will say social media is probably responsible for this. It kind of led into this whole TikTok fascination, and people taping themselves swooning over serial killers, and then of course the podcasting just took off like wildfire. There's so many podcasts on true crime. It's really even hard these days, if you wanted to start a true crime podcast, to find something that isn't already being done by somebody. And within the podcasting, you have that whole array between these jokey, chatty ones to, very serious ones, to genuinely investigative ones, to those really solving a cold case. There's so many different ways into this, that true crime itself has become this genre that has multiple manifestations. And so your interest can be anything from how sexy Ted Bundy is, as some of the female viewers think.
Oh, God, I think I'm going to vomit. I think I'm going to fucking vomit. Did she say sexy? I mean, I know that, like, back in the day, people thought he was, like, good looking. But now, 2025, fuck directly off with that shit. Do you think Bryan Kohberger's sexy because he looked like Ted Bundy? And what's her name? Katherine? Holy.
The genre that has multiple manifestations. And so your interest can be anything from how sexy Ted Bundy is, as some of the female viewers think, to just how awful some of these people are. I did one myself that was a 4-part one. I was executive producer of the BTK killer, because I spent 5 years talking with him. And from that book that we did together grew this opportunity to do a multi-part documentary on who he was. And we interviewed him for it, and people wanted to hear his voice. I don't know why they didn't use more of that, because I had 20 hours of tape.
Oh, she's all butthurt. Listen, she butthurt because they didn't use her 20 hours with Dennis Rader, a guy who his first killing. He went into their home, a family. He locked the children in the bathroom, and they heard their parents getting brutally murdered. Yeah, this is the lady. I don't know why they didn't use more of my footage. She's got to be she's still in touch with Bryan. Yes. She was invited to stay in the Airbnb with his fam.
this opportunity to do a multi-part documentary on who he was, and we interviewed him for it, and people wanted to hear his voice. I don't know why they didn't use more of that, because I had 20 hours of tape from just for that show, and they used only bits and pieces. I think we could have used a lot more, because that's what viewers really want, is the voice of the guy, that raw.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want to give so much attention to the killer, lady. Maybe they don't want to glorify the fucking killer. I feel like she lives vicariously through these killers. Call me crazy. Call me motherfucking crazy. That is weird.
Because I had 20 hours of tape from just for that show, and they used only bits and pieces. I think we could have used a lot more, because that's what viewers really want, is the voice of the guy, that raw experience of getting close to somebody who plotted and planned sexually compelled homicides.
Ugh. I mean, I get that true crime is intriguing, the mystery, hey Delaney, everything else, right? I get the I mean, that's why I'm here, because I love a good mystery. I love a good true crime case. This, to me, is beyond that. She's giddy. And it's always about this sexual deviant stuff. It's gross.
Use a lot more, because that's what viewers really want, is the voice of the guy. That raw experience of getting close to somebody who plotted and planned sexually compelled homicides and did, pretty terrible things to people.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear that you had. I mean, obviously your experience, which I know coming in is insane. I mean, like, it's just like, it feels like thing after thing after thing. It's like unbelievable. So let's talk a little bit about your novel, which is The Ice Cream Man, which is the first of what is a planned series. Can you just share a little bit about what this book is about and kind of the series as a whole?
Yeah, it was an odd thing. It kind of started when I was pitching a show to, I guess, a network, and one of the people there said, "Why aren't you writing what you do?" I don't know. Why aren't I? And what she was referring to is the multiple things I do as an investigator. First, forensic psychology is the layout. So my character it's the Nutcracker series. And so this is the Ice Cream Man, which is I Scream Man, is the first in the series. And it's Annie Hunter is a forensic psychologist who manages a PI agency. So she's not doing it all herself. She has a PI, she has a cadaver dog handler, she has associates with various expertise in forensic science. As I have done, I've been on exhumation teams, I've done paranormal investigations, so she even works with paranormalists when it's appropriate, but she's a debunker as well. She doesn't buy into a lot of the stuff that paranormal ghost hunting people are making claims about, but she's always open. All right, let's take on a case that has rumors of ghosts, but let's just clear out the cobwebs while we're at it. And if that doesn't pan out, then we're going to do a different kind of investigation. So that's stuff that I actually do. I wrote a paranormal forensics book, Haunted Crime Scenes. So I have written books with people. I've done investigations involving paranormal stuff, but I also do the suicidology as well. So my character, Annie Hunter, is essentially me, because her attitudes about all this are mine, and she's a suicidologist, so which means she's also an expert on staged scenes, staged suicides or some other kind of incidents.
Oh God, staged scenes. Staged scenes.
She's an expert on that, and she has a lot of resources because she has multiple networks and connections, as I have had. So over the years, all the different people I've worked with now come into play. Like I had a next door neighbor who went into digital work, and he's in cybersecurity, so he's my digital guy in the novel. So
isn't that what Bryan studied? Digital forensics? Fuck off.
So over the years, all the different people I've worked with now come into play. Like I had a next door neighbor who went into digital work, and he's in cybersecurity, so
a next door neighbor?
He's my digital guy in the novel.
He's my digital guy in the novel. Okay. Does anyone want to look up the characters in the book I Scream Man? See who the digital guy is?
So when I can use, and I worked with a cadaver dog handler, and that she becomes, that Annie's confidant, and she's a data miner. I've worked with data miners. So I think I just pulled in a bunch of stuff that I already had experience with in real life to make these fictional worlds. But I always use real cases as the basis. So I guess it's kind of a rip from the headlines thing. But usually these cases are not well known, but they're really twisty. So I find really twisty things and then go off into a fictional direction with them. Like what would really happen in this case if my investigators were involved in it. So the fun part was I got to develop this novel in yet another master's program, an MFA program. And my MFA mentor let me take each character and do like a narrative nonfiction with a true crime case. So they would have a case of, something happening, like this guy murdered his niece and took all the skin off of her so nobody could identify her, and dismembered her and threw her into a river. And that was a real case. So I had that be the way.
Took the skin off? She says it like it's nothing. You think she spotted something in Bryan?
Annie Hunter met Natra, the dog handler, because the dog handler was actually on that case.
Oh God, the dog handler.
Then I will fictionalize it so it's not the actual case. But I always want to start with that, because I think that if you stay close to the actual human motivations, even in really weird, twisty cases, it's going to be realistic. Because it's so easy to just make up stuff. And I see this a lot in fiction where things are just made up, and then I just go, I don't believe this, this isn't happening. But if I'm working with a real case, yeah, you know what? It is believable.
That's so interesting. And that was one of the things I'm really excited to talk to you about and kind of dig in on a little bit, because I was reading Ice Cream Man, it felt real. And it's so interesting to hear you say that, like, yeah, it's grounded in reality in a way. And so this season of my podcast, it's all about writers. I'm trying to help writers who are looking to get across the finish line, land an agent, publish a book, whatever it is. And so the one thing that I really was excited to talk to you about specifically is how you use that nonfiction background and real stories that you've worked on to influence or drive your fiction. And so it sounds to me like you're taking kind of the core of a character and the core of a case. And at what point do those things spin off into fiction? Do you let that happen naturally? Are you cognizant of it? Are you thinking about it as you're writing, or does it just kind of happen naturally?
Well, I mean, I know that my main character is me, but she doesn't have the same parents I had at all. She has a 9-year-old daughter, I don't, but there are certainly things in her former relationship that are real that happened to me. So I think I just figure out what's the base character, what's the baseline character. I draw them. I have pictures of all of them also on my bulletin board. They're all right in front of me all the time, so I can imagine her. And then with character development, you have to do your whole. Where do they drive? What pets do they have? What do they like? What do they hate? How do they react to this and that? So you put them in motion in many different ways to get to know them.
Shut the front door.
I'm seeing through Annie's eyes, essentially. So I think that's the start, is you You get a base of the character, and then you let it go. And
shut up, lady. Do you see the cover of her book? The I Scream Man? Do you see it over here on the right? Is it just me? That's weird, right? Who's that guy? Oh my God. Even the freaking ears sticking out. Okay, let's read what it's about real quick. When a boy vanishes under strange circumstances, forensic psychologist Annie Hunter collects her team of sleuths, the Nutcrackers. They link the boy to a network of powerful people, the I Scream Men, who gain political favors through a juvenile sex trafficking ring. As Annie tries to hide a victim they seek to silence, head predator Alder Plattman, nicknamed Plat Eye, snatches her young daughter. Relying on coded clues, some quirky allies, and the mysterious method of remote viewing, Annie sets out to rescue her daughter and cripple the criminal network. Among her associates is attorney Jackson Rains, a youth advocate whose brother stole the network's secret records before he was murdered. This is fucking dark shit. As a hurricane bears down and Plattman chases Annie's team, they race to recover this vital cache before he can find and destroy it. Published September 8th, 2022. Yeah, I know. It's snazzy. It's weird. Yeah, she's from PA. I know. It almost looks like the Idaho House and looks like BK in his jumpsuit. I mean, looks like him in the jumpsuit. Let's see if she's got reviews. October 26, 2022. September 30th. Seth Dietrich. This one got me going. I couldn't be sure who was the bad guy and who were the good guys. Then, when I thought it was resolved, it took off again. Huh. It's weird, dude. I don't like any of it. That cover, I don't like that at all. And to think they were emailing in the midst of this? Oh, hell no. Nope.
Character wants to go. That's always, I mean, as I mentioned, I wrote that 1,000-page novel
Hey,
when I was
Beckles.
15. I mean, that's always the way it's been, is these characters just fill my head, and you have to let them grow in the way they're going to go. But you have to start somewhere. And the reason I started with Annie being like me, and this is my 5th novel, so that's the only one that's been like that, is because these are the things I actually do, and it's fun to have her attitude. She's more snarky than me, I think, but it's fun to have her attitudes, develop, but then Certainly, she has relationships I don't have. She lives where I don't live. So I think that's part of it. Is you have some things that are based in reality, but then you have to let it go. And you got to trust that inner world that's already there inside you. Especially if you, as a kid, you were told stories, you were a reader. That inner world's inside you, and at some point you just trust this is going somewhere. I mean, I talk a lot. I have another book called Snap, Seizing Your Aha Moments. And I talk a lot about how you set up ways to constantly be inspired, to get that muse going. And for me, it's walking. And I walk every single day, at least 4 miles, if not more. And within that walk, I always trust that if I'm stuck on something or I'm trying to find out more about characters and their interactions, it's going to happen on that walk. It will happen. And it does. So I think part of writing is trusting your inner world to yield to you the things you need to know to keep moving forward with the novel. Now, you do have to some extent outline. I mean, I'm not a total pantser, just whatever happens, happens. I definitely have an idea of where it's going. I know, like, I want weather in it, so that has a hurricane, the next one has a tornado. I love weather.
That's cool.
And I put that into one of my characters. He's a crazy weather fanatic. And as a result, you learn these things about weather, but they're also metaphors of the plot itself. So I'm always keeping that in mind.
The people who typically interact with me and with my podcast are the people who have written and much like your first draft as a teenager has like ceremoniously burned those first few drafts, and they're in like their third, fourth manuscript and they're really invested in making this one work. They've done the craft work. They've done the legwork. They know how story works. They've honed their writing skills. And I'm just trying to find ways to get them to over that hump to wherever they want to be, whether that means
just kind of mentoring me in this process before I'm even getting started. And so learning about their fictional worlds and what goes on in their head and how they trusted their process and how it all unfolded for them and the kinds of writing that they were doing, the work of craft. And whereas Anne Rice, she showed me the virtues of learning poetry as a way to understand phrasing, word choice, pacing, depth. And Kuntz, too. I mean, he had a master's degree in English. He was an English teacher before he took off in writing.
I mean, she's definitely 2 Days Back is the movie. 2 Days Back.
So they taught me a lot about the handling of language, which I think if you're just going to be a type of storyteller that's and then, you won't dive very deep and you won't really hear the sounds of the way writing can really grab you. I remember once I was reading one of Kuntz's books, Twilight Eyes, which I did not want to read because it's set in carnivals and blah, things that I don't like at all. And I couldn't put this book down at all. And I loved it. And I said, what did you do? And he had written the whole thing in iambic pentameter rhythm. Wow, that's an accomplishment. And it got to me as a reader who did not want to read about these Carney people. Not only did it get to me, I went to that town in Florida. I went and visited the town in Florida where they all lived during the winter because I was so entranced. And boy, did that teach me about phrasing and sound, that things that readers aren't thinking about.
Okay, lady, shut the fuck up. Okay, let's watch this trailer. This is the 2 Days Back trailer. I didn't know it involved a little 5-year-old girl. That's freaking weird as hell. Hold on.
When I was a little girl, I got lost in the woods. It took them 2 days to find me. Since then, I've avoided the woods.
Until now.
Yeah, his sister's in this.
We've learned that a group of forestry students are planning to go up.
That's her right there. That's her right there in the red. Weird, huh? Yeah, Amanda Kohberger.
And cut trees in protected woodlands.
So you mean to tell me that some company's willing to pay us $1,000 over fall break?
That's the deal. We leave Friday, 2 days to get there, 2 days work, and 2 days back.
You think those guys over there are really plotting the end of the world?
I'll bet whatever they are talking about is...
You think those guys over there are really plotting the end of the world?
I'll bet...
That's his sis right there. This was 2011, I think. Yes, he has 2 sisters. Well, I'm sure she shapes her eyebrows, but yeah, she doesn't really look like Bryan. I don't really see, she does have deep inset eyes like he does, but she's pretty. But the deep inset eyes, yes.
But whatever they are talking about is not good for the planet. We need to follow them up there and document what they're doing.
Hey, how come only a half a dozen trees are marked?
No skid trails, no landing? That doesn't make any sense.
Where's Chase?
This is Emma, Steve, and Ben. Their friend got hurt.
She reminds me of Jules too. Sarah, Sarah. That's what I thought.
I think it would be safer if we were to stay here. With people who know what they're doing.
What is it?
Cabin down there?
Maybe they have a phone.
No one has a phone out here, you jackass.
It's just a hunter's cabin. Season hasn't even started yet. There won't be
The music?
anybody there.
Hey, Captain D's.
I'm not leaving him!
Where's Bryan's sister? Oh no.
You're that boy.
I'm not sure if this is the sister that helped Ellie or not. He's got another sister that I think is like a therapist. Hey, Moxie. Another creator said the killer in this movie says something similar to, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Yeah, I don't know about that. I think they just whispered something at the end. Listen.
You're that boy.
You're that boy.
You're that boy.
Yeah, that's creepy, right? But yeah, that's his sister. I don't know which sister it was that. The director is Kevin Alexander Boone. Here's some pictures from it. Oh boy. Yikes. Is that Kohberger right there? I think that's her, dude. Boy, she really looks like Bryan there. Are you here, that boy, or you're that boy? Look at her. That totally looks like Bryan. Where can you watch it? Beats me. That's definitely her, though. Does she have glasses on, or is that just how inset their eyes are? Yeah, it's a stabber. Oh, I gotta open these Amazon things. Let me do that right quick. Snazzy trinkets. Are you still here, Snaz? What did Snazzy get me? My car seat cover? Oh, the car seat. Oh, the organizers. Thank you, Snaz. Thank you, Snaz. That's so nice. All right, I got another one. Another one. Who's this from? Snaz, are you here? This is from Snaz, too. Ah! She got me my car coasters. Look. You know how you put them in your cup holder? This says, don't fuck up my car, please. Can you guys see that? Thank you, Snaz. What else is in here? Oh, I thought this was so cute. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Look at it. I'm such a nerd. I thought this was so damn cute. Look at it. It's a little hoodie. Hold on. Let me get Bryan Jr. off the screen here and make this bigger so you guys can see. I need you to see. Okay. This is a hoodie, and it goes on your gear shift. Isn't it fucking cute? And the little gear shift sticks out of the hoodie. Fucking love it. Oh, you guys got a toy, Summer. A crinkle chicken. Look, the crinkle chicken. Well, look at, she already loved it. Thank you, Snaz. Wait, hold on. Let's puff it out. Look at, she already loves it. Look. She loves it. Thank you. Oh, she loves it. Look. Get it. Get it. Aw, thank you, Snaz. Welcome, Sarah Adams. Thank you for joining. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to put the little hoodie on there. So sweet. Thank you. I know she loves it. Look, she's back here with it. Where is it? You want your toy? She's such a happy dog. Thank you so much. All right. We've got one more here. Who could this one be from? It is the Werner shirt you got me, Robat. Okay, let's see. She's stopping because she thinks this one's for her. I love that chicken. It's got a squeaker too. Look at that tail. Look how happy you made her, Snaz. Do you love it? You do? That's so sweet. Okay, let's see. Who's this from? No Dread Bear, a Jen doll. LOL. Hope you like her and the mouse pad. Love you, Angie B. I got a new mouse pad. Look. Thank you, Angie B. No Dread Bear, a Jen doll. I don't have a Jen doll. Am I still... Is the doll the next one, Ange? I love the mouse pad. I'm getting it out right now. I know. Do you love seeing her happy? Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you, Ange. Thank you, Snazzy. Oh, I'm putting this thing down right now. Crime says hallelujah. Oh, so grateful. Thank you. All right, hold on. Hopefully we don't find out that it's the mouse. That's a nice mouse pad. Check it out. Nice ocean scene. Beautiful. Very, very sweet. Your dog's looking around. Here's the toys. Okay, let's see. Ooh, it's big too. Oh, wait. Where's Buttermouse? Oh, Buttermouse works really good. Thank you, Angie. Oh, geez. It's smooth as butter. I'm going to have to get used to this because it was like jerking around before. Now it's like smooth as butter. Thank you so much, guys. So sweet. You guys are awesome. You really are. But yeah, so this is the... Wow, I got to get used to this mouse actually working. That's so weird. I was so used to it not working that now that it's working, it's messing me up. I'll get used to it though. Thank you so much, guys. This is so cute. The hoodie. I love the beach scene. Someone did say butter. Slick as schnaut. She loves this chicken. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I've got stuff to do. I love the don't fuck up my car. I'm going to go put all this stuff in my car right now. But I don't know. I might try to go live tomorrow night, depending on how my day goes. We're either going to the pool or the beach, so I might be wiped out. And I wanted to say, too, I think I'm going to do a members only next week and take you guys either, I don't know, out and about somewhere, walk around somewhere, or go to the beach or something. Show you around the Clearwater area. So we'll talk about that later, but these are just things in my head. I want to get out and about, show you guys around. I don't know. Thank you, Jammers. Potato, we're just wrapping it up, girl. Thank you again for the gifts. I really appreciate it. 911, good to see you. This is the end. It is. It was a quick one today, wasn't it? Oh, let me tell you where you can watch that movie. Hold on. Let me get out of the thing here. Don't leave yet. It looks like Prime Video, 99 cents. Let's see. You can rent it for $1.99. Oh, I might do that tonight after the little one falls asleep. Now I'm curious. Here, I'll give you guys the link. Maybe we can watch it in Discord or something. Here it is. Bye, Delaney. There's the link to it. Athens killer acts like her friend. No. Sister disappears in the middle. Does kind of remind you of Bryan. Oh, you did watch it. You guys have a good weekend. Cole, you have a great weekend. My favorite viewer. Short and good. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, too. I mean, I think we all kind of think it's a little bit weird. Do you think there's more to it? I can't wait to find out. We're about, 4 months away from the trial? I know. If you have, they charge for everything anymore. All right, guys. Have a good one. I will see you in the next one. Everybody stay safe until the next one. Thank you, Life is Good. I appreciate you. You enjoy your day as well. And don't eat any more crayons. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further?
Bring it all in.
And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click. It's real easy, man.